What game did we do again?
Nostalgia?
We just finished Nostalgia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the lunch break.
Hello. We are here to have some good times.
Yeah.
Without the booze, because Reese made it really sound like we were drinking.
No,
We're not.
sorry. No, we're not.
Ooh.
No.
Consider, though,
Ooh.
a lunch break where we drink.
Oh, a drunk lunch break? Riley would have to be the DM. For one, because he doesn't drink, but two, also, we need someone to control
No one
us.
DMs in a lunch break. No
Yeah,
one DMs
no,
in a lunch
lunch
break.
A moderator.
A drunk game.
Yeah.
A moderator.
Lunch breaks have moderators.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just the last GM, I suppose.
A drunk one-shot would be so good, though.
A drunk one? Okay, you're not telling me a drunk one-shot with this D&D campaign would not be hilarious with this D&D world, considering?
It has to be an episode where our characters are also drunk.
Exactly, that's what
You know,
I'm
like
saying.
the beach episode? Well, this is the bar episode.
Yes.
Anyway, before we get into the D&D stuff, let's really quick.
Nostalgia.
Yeah, we just finished Nostalgia. For our listeners, we are planning on doing a D&D episode next, but as we do in our lunch breaks, we will be covering the last season and then going over prep for the next season. So, yeah.
Okay.
I forgot if I was going to be in the next season or not. I think we were... wait, was it a yes or no? I don't remember. I'm just completely...
It's up to you.
No, we already have a guest star lined
That's
up.
right.
Sorry, Matthew.
That's
but-
right.
We might have multiple guest stars. Yeah, I invited Matthew to be a guest star at some point.
Yeah, I was like, we
Okay,
can
at
have
some point.
multiple. Yeah.
I just didn't know if I didn't think it was planned yet, so.
Okay,
No,
so
not really. We just talked about,
Yeah.
like, hey, Matthew, if you ever wanted to come be in a game I DM, you're absolutely
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah.
You're always a
Yes.
treat to have around, you know.
I was so scared for a second that I had just straight up, thought that
No, man.
of that entire interaction.
Nah.
I was like, oh no, I didn't need to invite myself.
You're
No,
fine.
Matthew, you're red.
I actually have a question for
Okay.
Matthew. How does
Okay.
it feel to have been involved in a campaign for the whole story arc?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were
Yeah, it
you were
was-
barely even a guest star for that.
Yeah, you were like a whole thing.
Gee, that was really fun. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, I always love doing sessions and like doing campaigns and stuff. And I feel like a lot of times they fall through. So it is nice to have this podcast to actually be able to complete a story arc
Yeah.
and not get 1/3 of the way through and then just everyone's
I
like,
feel
oh
that.
well, suddenly my schedule changed and then yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not
I
speaking
feel-
from experience whatsoever.
That's the entire reason we started this podcast, so that we had a reason to keep coming together.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
literally what happened, and now it's one of the many things I look forward to, just in general.
Yeah.
So,
And we've been going for over a year. I think a year and a half.
over
about
2
by
years.
now.
No, over 2
Over
years.
2 years?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh man, I
It's-
completely missed the second anniversary.
Yeah,
Apparently,
it's been about 2 years on Buzzsprout so far, so on actual podcasting sites. But we started on YouTube 2.5 ago, maybe.
Yeah.
I thought
Wow.
I thought y'all were doing this for longer than that.
Nope, just 2.5.
2
Oh,
years
that's
is still
right.
pretty long.
We just come off so professional is the
Yeah.
thing. You know, you'd think we were old hands.
We're all professionals here.
For sure.
If we were going for longer, we'd have more episodes. Okay. I do have a question, and this is mostly going to be rulebook based because,
Yeah.
as the listeners might know or might not know, we ran Nostalgia our last season in a homebrew game that I made up based off the Powered by the Apocalypse games, and this is a system that I actually want to publish, and so we were test playing it to see if it worked, see how it felt. We adjusted some things. The game is supposed to be set in an American Spirit Week. We got tired of playing high schoolers for a while, so we decided that this time we would play new college grads, that kind of age, so...
I think we established that we weren't actually tired of it. It was just something different. We were like,
It's the same thing, essentially.
We were a little bit tired, but like normally if someone was to play this game, if we're able to get it published, if someone was to play this game, they would play the high school students that we spoke to in the game.
Yes. The high school students making floats, doing Spirit Week in their school. That's what the game would be about.
We've just played so many kids that we're like, we're too many.
So the rulebook still needs a little bit of perfecting. I'm obviously missing a lot of moves for the the character classes, but I'm not going to cover that in the.
I also felt that there were a couple of times when we bumped into some stuff where it's like there should be a basic role for this, but there wasn't a couple of times.
I'm thinking, that's actually something I was going to make. I have a term called "what the situation demands." I'm thinking of making that an official move.
What was it again? Sorry. My mind.
What the situation demands. So basically, what that means is you would kind of all agree on what stat to roll, and then you just roll.
I think that's a good one. I think there should definitely be some outline for that. Because one of the big things we had a problem with was the, can I roll, insight or perception kind of deal? There wasn't a direct move for that, which is, in most games, there is at least one move based off of that, and I think that was our biggest thing.
Yeah. It's tricky because, a lot of systems like that have had, decades of work and stuff, where, a D&D, it's been around since, 19 whenever.
And that's something I picked up. I've been playing Tremulous, and Tremulous has a perception move, but instead of it being based off of, how good you are at singing, it's based off a luck roll. So, because it's kind of like luck, whether or not you'd be able to stumble across something.
Yeah. So something like that might be good. I was also thinking, because, we're missing, moves for some of the classes specifically, it might help to kind of look at the classes from a D&D standpoint and be like, okay, this one kind of encapsulates a bard. What are some moves that a bard would have? And then kind of make some kid moves based off of that.
I actually think it reminds me a little more of Delinquent Heroes more than Bard, because the Delinquent Heroes is also meant to be more so for teenagers, where D&D is a very much kind of more so fantasy adventure
they're
setting.
all powered by the Apocalypse games.
Yeah.
That's why.
That's another thing, but I'm saying
D&D can also be it doesn't have to be fantasy. I know there's built-in classes.
But I'm saying that one has more for that, and it's more focused on that.
I'm just saying from a meta standpoint of creating the class itself, is the classes in all of the Powered by the Apocalypse systems are very specific to the game itself. So you can't just be oh, would this be what are all the classes from? Would this be a Nova? No. This is not
Nova.
The characters in this are not a Nova.
No,
I know what you mean.
But I will say Rowan really did get it, especially considering the nostalgia was a whole point. It was supposed to be high schoolers. I actually really liked
the class choices were so good.
They were really good. I thought those were so on point. And the fact that I really liked the way you did the stats, where you were I think it needs to be worded clearer, but the fact that you put them in negatives or positives, I thought that was so funny, considering I was able to move Dares to a -1 jump, even though one of his class moves required it.
Yeah, and that was something I really wanted to get across, because high schoolers are all in that stage of figuring out who they are.
Yeah.
So the shy kid is not always bad at athletics, and the perfect kid is not always the smartest one, kind of thing.
What would be interesting? If Nostalgia had something that was kind of similar to Babes in the Woods, where you can do a move that you don't have, but you have a negative to it, and kind of I had another example.
That could work.
In what was the superhero one? Masks. Kind of like in Masks, where some moves, the response to something bad happening is you shift labels, or something good happening. So in this, what if to do something, you would need to shift a label to do that thing? That could be an interesting basic move.
I did include that you can use spirit points to change your stats.
Oh, I did not know that.
Oh.
That's been in there. It's underneath spending
okay.
spirit.
That was one of the new rules because it doesn't really have leveling up and stuff. I thought that was an interesting choice. I still think that maybe a leveling up system would have been good for the game. One of the things that I really struggled with while playing Nostalgia was maybe it's just because I'm used to playing tabletop RPGs that are built around like high adventure and like those level of stakes, like Dungeons and Dragons and the Sprawl and like Forge in the Dark games. Like I don't really play like teenager Americana, like kid drama, like the romance tabletop RPGs. So I felt really lost and frustrated because even though there was like a plot and a goal, I felt that there wasn't a lot of plot or stuff to do, and I felt that things were going really slow and there wasn't a lot to do, and like that was frustrating for me. But that's just because I'm used to playing games where it's very clear that you kill the smaller monsters or the enemies until you get to the big boss and you beat the boss and you get the thing that you need to get, or you save the person, or you avert the war, or you kill the god, like whatever you're doing.
Well, I think, so it's just that, like, there's less the crisis situation going on.
Yeah.
Like the crisis situation was like, oh, the float supplies are missing.
Yeah, I think
like, the world is about to end.
Exactly.
So.
A thing that would have helped me like ground myself.
I understand. I feel like that would be remedied by actually playing this as Spirit Week, where you would have to be winning the competition.
But I think another thing that would help ground that is like if there's a leveling up or a progression system that's also based in the mechanics. Because at least
I am
that way...
firmly against the level up system because this is meant to be played as a one shot.
Okay.
I was going to say what I've noticed with Rowan specific like GMing/DMing is that Rowan focuses a lot more on the internal like dynamics. Like if you look at all the ones Rowan's done,
Masks.
Here, Delinquent Heroes really delved into that. Like, sure, there was a goal, but it was so much like character interaction, and again, that was like one of the best ones we've done on this show because of that. But then also with our,
I was a part of that.
I know, yeah, you were too. But also with the Honey Song, that's so much so character interaction, even if I am...
Yeah, but the Honey Song has, like, concrete goals and ways to pursue them.
It has drama.
Yeah,
it has like, drama and strife that I can, like, sink my teeth into.
It's still an more internal, like, dynamics, which that's definitely what Nostalgia's meant for, just like what Nostalgia was meant for, and Spirit Week, too, just looking through the classes. I mean, we have Class Clown, Nerd, all that. It's meant to be that. It's just, with us choosing to play college kids, that really kind of hit that hard, because we were all just like, here's this one about being high schoolers, let's not, which I think that was part of the problem. Why?
I think you might have also been a little bit personally offended because it kind of relates to all of us personally.
I mean, I was fine but I think that's because I
was fine, but there were so many moments where I'm like, oof, oh no.
Yeah. I think one of the reasons I personally like the high school ones is because I love you guys, but my high school experience, because my classmates, was not the best experience. So being able to go back as high schoolers is like therapeutic in its own way.
I didn't have any friends in my high school. I was friends with in my class.
Yeah.
I was friends with you guys.
Before we get into these like in-depth personal emotional issues here, I just wanted to say, Riley, I understand what you're coming from, and that is something I will add to the rulebook now that you've mentioned it.
Yeah.
A place that explains how to add, like, because if you're playing it as Spirit Week, how to add things like competitions and games and that sort of, like, that sort of mechanic-wise goal, it sounds like you'd prefer.
More concrete goals, ways to pursue them, and like stakes, because that was what I felt was missing.
Kind of going back to Babes in the Woods. They have like mini pre-made plots that you can do, and like it gives you a lot of leeway to kind of do what you want in it, but it gives you a kind of story to follow if you don't want to make something up yourself.
Yeah.
So you could include something like that. I did also, if you don't want to do leveling, I did also like the idea of using the spirit points to do something to your character sheet. So maybe like you could do a thing where if you use more points, you can like add a new move, like specific to your class. So you would get like level up things.
So like creating a new player move, because the player move is the one everyone makes individually.
Or you can take one from another class. It would be a thing that all of the players agree on together. So like if someone's like, hey, your character really did a lot that season, and I think they learned a lot, maybe they would take this move. And everyone could be like, all right, use 3 spirit points, we give that to you.
And I think another thing adding on to that is, an example I'd really like to use is how Tessie really, like, she was considered, like, the shy kid, but she really, like, was able to kind of go out there, and she was like a sneak kind of deal. And
I wanted her shyness to be based more around social anxiety toward others than her being shy towards her friends. Because, as someone who is was shy and very private, I'm very outward and going around like you guys and everything, and in certain situations. But outside of that, like, that's the extent of it. And so I didn't want to just paint as like all shy people are like completely socially inept all the time forever, or that like if you're shy you're just you lack the ability or lack the desire to have any social interaction, because I didn't feel that was accurate. So I wanted to give Tessie, like, she loves her friends and can communicate well with her friends, but like that's it.
But as I was saying, as an example is how Tessie was able to connect more with some of the people that even my very extroverted character wasn't able to. I think that could be like, I think there should be a possibility using the spirit points that, like, an example is your character suddenly gains popularity from this one thing or another. Change shy kid to something else, like to a different one, because in the story it's changed. So instead of leveling up, like I said, you still gain those leveling up properties, but it's more so shifting because of the dynamics that happen. Instead of just, this is what we're aiming for to level up, it's more storytelling, really.
Yeah, I would steer clear of changing your class, because it's a short, it's only in 1 week. Kids don't change entirely who they are in 1 week, but I think taking moves from other classes is a thing that you can do, because you're learning new skills.
I would argue no one changes completely who they are in 1 week.
Yeah.
Not just kids.
It takes a lot of time to change.
If anyone could do it, it would be kids, but they don't do it.
It would be Zuko.
Exactly.
Stop!
You be quiet.
Stop that! How dare you?
Zuko changed overnight.
No, he did not!
Well, he was sick for a while, but
He had a whole long, beautiful character arc. You be quiet.
It was across the entire plot.
I was about to say, how dare you? Don't insult Zuko.
Zuko changed his class like 4 times.
I'm more just referring to him finally making a good decision and then just catching the flu because
Okay, that angst coma is still the goddamn funniest thing I can ever think of.
Anything else that you feel is like really broken or really needed in the Spirit Week rulebook?
We already mentioned clarifying the stats.
I would say more consequences to fails. Like,
Yeah.
there were a few, but I didn't really feel like if I failed that it was horrid. Like, an
To be fair, I'm a really nice DM.
No, yeah, but I do think because teenagers can do some really dumb shit. And I think, like, an example is, like, my character literally did something so dumb he died beforehand, but, like, that could happen based off of the character. That shit happens. So I think there should be, like, some consequences, like, heavier consequences, like...
Yeah.
Heavier.
Oh, I just noticed that Use Your Eyes and I Know This One have the same consequence for rolling 6 or below. That's
In which one?
fine. You don't
Which
have to put
one?
that on the top of your list of things to do, but maybe try and change the consequences so that they're different.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what it would be, but that's an idea.
I think personally, like, I had lots of fun throughout this, so I don't want to criticize or anything.
No, go ahead. I'm asking you to criticize.
I think the biggest thing is that the player move is a little too broad. Being able to be like, hey, so just make whatever moveset you want, and the DM just has to confirm it. Because when I was making that, it kind of caused two things. One, when I was trying to come up with a move, it was really hard to kind of think of a move. When you have the options of everything, it's really hard to come up with something. And also, I feel like the move that I made was a bit broken. If I'm going to be completely honest, just being able to just be completely invisible is, I feel like, a little bit too strong. And so, like, I feel like having a way that you can regulate it a little bit more, I feel like that might be
I do agree with
idea.
Matthew on some points, like maybe instead of each player writing a complete or a unique move at the start, like there could be a series of options or something like that to guide that. The one thing I mostly agree with Matthew. The one thing I'll push back on is Powered by the Apocalypse definition of broken is so much more different than D&D, and so, because it's narrative based, and since it's more focused on telling a story using the mechanics as like a skeleton, as opposed to D&D, which is like hard and fast rules, and so there are things you can do to break the systems. So I don't think your idea was that broken. It was more powerful. It was more powerful than everyone else's, but I don't think it was that broken.
Okay, here's my counter argument. My counter argument for that is that you're right, it is narrative based. So if I wanted to, I feel like I could have easily just gone through the story really quickly with that character though. Like, I could have just been like, okay, cool, I turn invisible, I go just snoop on people basically, and that solves all the problems. Like, I feel like it would be. That's the reason why I think it was broken.
I think your move was actually fine. Like, because you have to think of it as an idea of where a kid would use his powers, but also, I think the main problem with the move that you came up with isn't what it does, but what happens on a failure. Because I think we need to be clear that a failure, something bad happens. It's not just nothing happens.
Yeah. Like, that was why I made mine so clear with the I don't believe in doors, is that when he fails, he's stuck. He can't move. Like, that was why because my mind was thinking of, okay, Dare would use this to no end. He's a ghost. So how can I make this as, like, detrimental if I fail? He, as a character, as someone who likes sneaking around and likes playing pranks and such. And so that's why I did that. And that's why I had so much fun, because if I got stuck, I was able to
got stuck in so many walls.
It was so good.
And that's on me, because I have made a specific thing in the rulebook that the DM has to confirm everyone's moves and help them with it. So that's on me for letting Matthew say nothing. But also, Matthew, that's why I let you have that move, because I know I can handle you bursting into places and becoming invisible.
That's fair.
You would not break my game if you did that, because I would just be like, well, eventually you'll be found out. There's going to be big consequences. Like, it wouldn't break my game. But I will add that because smaller DMs may have,
That's my worry.
Yeah.
Is that like someone's like, oh, I want to do a new system and stuff. This one is a new system as well. We can try this out, and then just them not being familiar with what is story breaking, what would be bad what is bad free information to give out, and so like
Yeah. I guess there is also we do kind of have to think about that there are some players that are not as considerate as others.
Yes.
We are a pretty
that's the main
friendly
point.
group.
That's the main point of what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
That there are definitely players that would be very awful about
Yeah.
that. Sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No,
I'm just
yeah, totally.
100%.
No, it absolutely makes sense.
We used to have a player
Because-
that was like that. Not
Oh,
on
yeah.
MXP. It was a personal
No.
friend group.
But yeah, like, and I will admit that makes it kind of not as fun. So when you have like, so you bringing that up is a good point, and because not everyone is going to be like, okay, I want some hard, heavy like rules, or I'm not going to abuse this power because
Yeah.
I'm not like that. Like there are people who don't think like that, who are like, I'm going to set myself limits.
I think it would help if we made some very hard set rules for making the make your own move, because I do like making the move, but
Yeah.
maybe we could make it so that
agree.
instead of it being a class move, it is a specific monster move. So you're making a move that is only for your species instead of it
That's
being
what we
So-
ended up doing anyway.
yeah.
There's here's the thing. I've made nostalgia specifically an extension. The monster part is an extension to the spirit week.
Yeah.
Someone can play the spirit week as humans.
Oh.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
But I
I'd-
threw in the monster side of it that
Okay.
allows for you to replace the hobbies move with a species move.
I see. I think just clarify it. Make a list of rules of what to write down when you get a success, a mixed success, and a failure. Like, be clear on
Yeah.
what the player needs to make.
And I would say for the hobby move, it's make sure it's not something you just
Throughout.
completely wild. Yeah, like
Yeah.
completely wild. Like
Something that's not
Again,
a
I'm
cop
just
out.
yeah, like again, something that I did for Dare. Sorry, I'm using my own character as an example, but I think
Oh yeah.
it's a good fit. Is that the fact that Dare's hobby is also related to that, but I made sure you mess up, you have that, but it's also like you get really good, you get something really good. I think that with a hobby move, it needs to be something a lot more tangible than what we did for our species moves,
Yeah.
because we were able to go above and beyond. Tessie was able to jump a whole ass fence. Dare was able
Yeah.
to go through walls.
Yeah, as an example for the hobby move, what I was going to do before I decided on a species move was I was going to have her do something related to her degree, which is programming. So I was going to have the move be like, you're a techie, you can do all these things with technology, but then I decided we're in a really small town that isn't very high tech, so I'm gonna go with the species move.
Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have done online college.
It's true.
Yeah, I think what we had was pretty good just because of how
Yeah.
we...
Yeah, the cryptid edition was really fun. I'm glad we did that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I liked the cryptid edition because I personally think because we were playing college students, the cryptid edition really helped us set into it. Like, the fact that sneaking into the school required the two of them, like
Yeah.
Terry and Dare, because they could go through, like,
Yeah.
Because
without
vampires
really
can't go through doors without being
Yeah,
invited.
but
And Dare
Yeah.
can't hold anything physically.
It was a lot of fun figuring out team ups based off of what each of us could do.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
One other thing I wanted to ask is, in a lot of these Powered by the Apocalypse system, like rule books and stuff, they have examples made by their like test games and stuff. So I'm wondering, could I possibly use your character sheets as examples in my rulebook.
Yeah.
Sure.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
go for it. Yeah, especially because you made this and you can be like, hey, this is an example if you do this.
Yeah, and if you ever need to bounce ideas or have us read through it and proofread it, just tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask about the characters because, there is a high chance that anyone who tries to play this game will start with the example characters, so.
Use Rosie!
Let's go. Use Dare! Oh my gosh. Dare is so good. Okay.
Alright then.
Yes.
Is that all for this rulebook then?
I
I think
for
so.
rule
If anyone
books?
has anything more to say on the rulebook, but I think we're good with that. Riley had some questions, I think.
Oh yeah, I always ask everyone to prepare some questions for the DM during the lunch breaks.
Yeah. I'm
I
currently
think
just scrolling through the rulebook to see if we missed anything.
I completely forgot about that. Not gonna
But we
lie.
can go more into like story stuff instead of the rulebook stuff now.
I mean,
I've been
I'll
busy.
forgive you this once, Matthew.
This is also my first time, so I have excuse.
Yeah, it's your first lunch break.
You know what? You've made a strong argument for me not forgiving you. You had one chance and you blew it. No, it's okay. I think everyone normally forgets and just says that they have something to placate me. So you're good.
I actually have something because
Oh my gosh. You know what would be so cool? If someone took this game and then changed the cryptid edition to a sci-fi high school
Oh my
in
God, that'd be
space in
so
the future,
fun.
that would be so cool.
that would be so fun.
I should write that down.
I was thinking another extension that could be pretty easy to graft on would be like a superhero school, like high
Yeah.
school one.
Yes!
Like
Oh my gosh.
Like My Hero Academia or like Sky High,
Sky High.
base.
Yes!
Since the species moves were basically low key superpowers anyway.
Yeah,
It could
kind
be
of.
pretty interesting. Like here is your teen archetype, but also you get to choose one move based around a singular superpower, and you go to a super high school, and that would maybe be a sci-fi is also good.
Write your thing, Rowan. Rowan and I are just typing over each other.
No, Jamie, you had the idea, write it. We both started writing the same thing and then we both deleted ours. I love you, sister.
I love you too, sibling.
Alright, Riley, go ahead, since you're prepared.
Okay, I was wondering, would you ever think about running another game in Nostalgia, once you had a more fleshed out, rulebook?
On the podcast, probably not.
Okay, so there's not going to be a Nostalgia Season 2.
Yeah.
Okay, and you are thinking about releasing this to the public as a PDF once it's finished?
Yes.
Okay, that sounds fun.
What is this interview question like?
That's what lunch breaks are, Rowan. We talk about the thing and we ask each other questions about the thing that we did.
Jamie and I have thrown around the idea of starting a Patreon for our show or something like that.
Yeah, we just don't have enough followers for that or ideas.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think.
But that was
Yeah.
originally where I thought I might put the rulebook, but we'll figure it out. Our TikTok is going pretty good, so
Yeah. Riley does want to make a website, so if we're able to get enough followers to go to the website, we could advertise it there.
Mm-hmm. We could also just put it up on itch.io for $1 or whatever.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely.
I guess $1 fine.
I guess most of the.
Well, I don't really want to do it so much for people are purchasing the rulebook. The Patreon is more just supporters, but
Yeah.
Some itch.io give the option of you can name your price.
Yeah, it's
As
donate
a
what you
donation.
can.
That could work.
One of the things I would say also is we need to get our presence back on Tumblr a bit more because I know
Yeah.
Oof, Tumblr
Tumblr is
Yeah.
dead to me.
Tumblr is dying.
but also
I already
Instagram,
deleted my account, so
but I think like just in, I would say like the kind of more little known Twitter.
How about Twitter?
I think
Reese, can you do
Twitter.
Twitter?
No. Why would we go to
Twitter's great.
Twitter?
Because
Gross.
Twitter has a big.
Twitter's great.
I did make a Twitter account. I guess I can probably add you as a moderator on it.
I was gonna say, just I could probably do the Twitter, especially because I keep pretty up to date with a lot of the Twitter memes and such.
Oh, you know what you could do? Oh, you and I are re-listening through the podcast. So
Yes.
what we could do is we could do what we're kind of doing with TikTok, where I've been uploading little clips from it. You could upload
But just do
funny
quotes.
little quotes from it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm very good, especially considering how often I send messages of the quotes into the chat, because we have some really good ones.
Let's just make the
get
Twitter
enough.
our new Tumblr, so like we'll post art
Yeah.
and whatnot to the Twitter.
I
That way,
think that's also really good too. Yeah, I think that would be best.
Yeah.
Um,
because it's kind of hard to do the art on the TikTok.
Man, I need to record more Rosie videos.
I need to record some Dare videos. That just requires so much makeup. So much makeup.
I need to get more than 3 hours of sleep.
Oh
Oh
no!
no.
Big mood.
Oh, I do have a question. For Rowan. This is
Yes?
nostalgia related.
Okay.
In the finale, you said that like we were so close to finishing, it would be like 20 more minutes, and then the next week when we got together, you're like, "Well, I added more plot." What was it gonna be? What was the last 20 minutes gonna be before you added the new plot?
Let's see. What had you gotten to when I said that?
We had just gotten to Cricket, I think.
Gotten to Cricket.
Yeah.
We were just about to go up the stairs to go to Critic.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Cricket's quests with the items were what I had added.
So originally it was just gonna be Cricket gives it to us?
Before, you would have found Cricket with the machine and all the stolen supplies, and probably would have convinced them to like return the stolen supplies or whatnot, or maybe gave in and just let them keep them. But yeah, I had the idea because I wanted items and spirit points to be such a big thing in Nostalgia Town, or in the Spirit Week rulebook, that I was like, all right,
that's fair.
item quest it is.
My question for actually Matthew.
Oh, hi.
What compelled you to, what specifically compelled you to put a teacher's pet as Terry?
Okay, so I think, that was a while ago, but I think the main thing was that, like, I wanted to play a character that, I could relate to at some level.
I know why you chose it.
Why did I choose it?
Religious trauma.
Oh goodness.
Tasty!
Oh my gosh.
Too close to home, too close to home.
Am I wrong?
So that, oh my gosh, so there was this, that TikTok where it's like, oh, good night people.
Yeah.
Daddy shoes, girls on
etc.
the
Yeah, someone did that with D&D characters, and I always play clerics, and then they said religious trauma for clerics. I was like, listen. Like, at first, my immediate reaction was just straight up like, nah, I don't have any religious trauma. And then I thought about it for more than 5 seconds. I was like, oh yeah, that whole part where I got excommunicated by my family for like a year.
Anyone in the LGBT community in a religious family has a little bit of religious trauma. At least a little bit.
Yeah.
Little bit.
Everyone except Riley coughs in LGBT.
Matthew has it worse. Matthew's family was Mormon.
Oh no!
Well, my extended family was, not my immediate family.
Oh,
Well, that
no.
was the reason, right?
We were Mormon. My whole family was Mormon, and then we left the church when I was in 7th or 8th grade. My extended family's mostly, well, 2 of them have gotten better.
That's good.
It's alright. It's alright. Tabletop roleplay games are just free therapy.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't think that was actually why I chose it, because you were talking about, when we were making the characters, you were talking about how this is supposed to be nostalgic and stuff, and like remind us of when we were younger. I've always been a big teacher's pet. I can think of one teacher who absolutely hated me, and that's probably it. Terry was kind of designed to be half inspiration from like me as a kid, but like if that version of me never had any of the bad stuff that happened to me, and so it was supposed to be kind of like that. Plus, also kind of the vibes of. Have you guys played this game, Coffee Talk?
No.
I have it on my wish list.
Well, it's a wonderfully amazing visual novel. I love it so much. It's great. I didn't actually play it. I watched Salem play it, but the vibes in it are immaculate.
It passes the vibe check.
Yeah, exactly. It's great, and so it's like there are like cryptids and stuff in Coffee Talk.
Hell
so
yeah.
It's like a coffee shop for cryptids.
Hell yeah.
And it's great. So I kind of
Is that why you made a coffee shop?
a tiny bit. I'm not gonna lie, I did steal that. I did 100% yoink that idea.
I love Boatload of Coffee so much.
So good.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but
We barely interacted with it, but I love it so much.
Same. So yeah, that coffee shop definitely drew inspiration from that, but it wasn't the sole driving factor behind it. But yeah, it definitely drew some inspiration.
Yeah, alrighty, thank you.
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering why I made Rosie the weirdo.
I think it's because
yeah, I didn't think about why I made them the teacher's pet until now.
it gets you thinking about the character, like, more so, that's why.
I think all of our classes weirdly fit us in high school.
I was not the class clown whatsoever.
That's fair. But, like, I
can
was
say
for sure
that.
the weirdo. I used to be the shy kid in middle school and below that because I kind of forced myself to be that because being a military kid, I never got to keep any of my friends. And in early elementary school, I was like, well, I'm just gonna not have any friends because I'm going to lose them anyway. Then ended up staying here, made friends, and I allowed myself to free myself from being the shy kid, and I became the weirdo because I was like, you know what? I don't care if anyone thinks I'm weird. They don't have to be my friend. I will have the 3 friends I like.
That's basically what happened.
Riley's for sure the shy kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
What class would you be? Because you don't fit the class clown.
I don't know. I think I chose class clown because it's really what I wanted to be when I was younger and how I went through high school. And I think if I were to really place why I chose class clown, because like I understand the military kid, same here, and all that, but before I came to California, I had a lot of anger issues because of it. We're not gonna go too much into that, but and then like I hit high school, and that was just such a bad time for me that I wasn't able to really enjoy it. So I wanted to make a character who was able to enjoy high school in a way I never got.
I found what you were. The loner.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's it right there. You got me. Got it in one.
Like the shy kid, except it's not because they don't like being with people, it's because they can't be with people.
That's me. I made like one solid friend in college, if that doesn't say anything.
Wow. we really fit as a friend group.
Yeah.
Rowan, what would you be? While we're here.
Oh man. Either shy kid or teacher's pet, I think.
I think Rowan fits teacher's pet, and I mainly say this because a teacher's pet tends to be a little bit more extroverted, and in high school, Rowan went from really introverted to extroverted, like, throughout.
Fair. Middle school, I would have been the shy kid. But yeah, high school, I actively
You also are like an AB student.
high school, I sat down and was like, I'm going to be more outgoing. And I worked on
And
that
you
all through high
did.
school, so by the time I got to college, I made friends instantly.
Yeah.
And also, Rowan, you were one of the fucking valedictorians.
In both high
That-
school and college.
Oh, that segues back into what we were talking about of how kids can't change classes in 1 week.
Oof.
It takes years.
Yeah.
So in
Mhm.
high school, I would be the teacher's pet. In college, I would be the perfect.
Oh,
maybe.
yeah. If we're talking about college,
Definitely for our college, yeah.
if we're talking about college, I'm still the loner.
No.
I honestly have no idea. I feel like so I definitely was the teacher's pet.
Mhm.
But I don't think I was in college though. Cuz I definitely like in college that's a completely different story cuz I argued with my teachers
Yeah.
a lot.
Though, to be fair, a lot of cliques and stuff don't really happen in college, so that's why this
That's
is like
fair.
specifically high schoolers.
That's so weird.
Yeah,
valid.
I can still say I'm the loner because in college I've only made one solid friend.
I don't know. I was gonna say you might be the rebel/troublemaker, not in like
No.
a I'm gonna fuck shit up kind of way, but in the fuck the government kind of way.
Okay, that's not college related. That's life related.
Listen,
That's fair.
my favorite Cave Town line might be, "I don't care about the government, and I really
Yes.
need a hug."
Yes.
That's
that is a good. That
The
is a
best
good
Cave
song.
Town
That's
line.
a good song.
Ugh.
So, thank you all for playing Nostalgia. I really like how it turned out. I felt like, I really like the story and, like, role-play based games more than the stat games, at least for
Yeah.
me running them.
Yeah.
So, I'm really glad that you all played along, and Riley, I know you prefer to have some level of suspense and, like, danger, but...
The danger came in
Just-
the finale with the laser.
Yeah, I
You
really
had
think
a
you can
moment.
tell too. I feel like we all like kicked into like 11th gear in that last
Oh, yeah, definitely.
recording. It all
Especially
came
because we
together.
were all like, Rowan, you're dropping plot on us in the finale. We have to get this done
I
in
know
20
how we
minutes.
like panicked. We were like,
Literally though.
I know, I'm sorry. I always end up having to rush my last episodes, and I'm sorry about that.
It wouldn't be fun otherwise.
Man. But that's just because y'all don't like me
I
leaving on cliffhangers,
don't.
so...
That's one of the things though that like, again, I really like how you go through and you're like, okay, here I'm gonna make you go oof because you're calling yourself out in some way. Like, that's what I've noticed a lot. Like, just because when we got like both Delinquent Heroes and with this one is really also the Honey Song, but that's in a different way. The Honey Song's in its own different way.
What is tabletop role-playing but free therapy?
Yeah, honestly.
Oh, it really is.
Speaking of, our next season is gonna be
Let's
D&D,
go!
baby.
Yeah!
Yeah.
Okay,
I thought.
first off, I would like to
I should
say
probably drop off
that,
the call.
No.
Oh, you don't have to leave,
Yeah,
Matthew.
no,
You
stay.
might be a guest star.
No. Yeah. You
Yeah,
can
go for it.
absolutely stick around.
First off, I would like to say, Riley, I had a meeting with my therapist and I was talking about my podcast, and I told my therapist that I like your worlds because they have such wide, complex networks of political powers and religion in them, and it makes the world feel so much larger. Like, I tend to zoom in and, like, magnifying glass on one little piece of the world, but you've got a big network of
Yeah.
ideas that all come together to create this just absolute society in any of your games.
Is this a weird side roast for making fun of me for making denominational
that was so
disagreements in the
good.
God churches?
This is not a roast. This is me explaining why you are my favorite DM.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
No.
For my world building style, it's hard to. Okay. My personal like GM hero is Austin Walker, who is the host of the actual play podcast, Friends at the Table. Austin Walker. If you don't know him, you should. I don't know why you're listening to us, but not them. They're really good.
I thought we were talking about our own podcast, Riley.
I'm setting the table for a statement. Give me a moment. I'm not going to talk about my playlist for 30 minutes. But one of the main tenets is that he always mentions is draw maps and leave blank spaces. And when I come into like world building, what I like to do is I want anything and everything the players to do to be something that they can like leap into and interact with and flesh out the world with, or that they feel is fleshed out so that they can approach it. So whenever I start planning a session, I always try and think about like how to set the stage so that the players will always have something to interact with and play with, and from that, one of the main things that I enjoy about tabletop games are faction systems, and coming from someone
Politics
who's
and religion.
coming from someone who's very interested in religion and has some questions and things that I like to like wrestle with. That means that I always focus on setting that stuff up first, and I always, when I go into world building, I have these documents full of questions that ask me questions about the setting and the different areas and stuff like that. And to me, it's so much easier for me to answer those questions and sit down and think about what the world is like, so that when the players come in and go, I would like to be this kind of character and be involved with this kind of people, I can go, absolutely, here's the stuff that would be related to, here's how these pieces can fit together, here's some of the people that you can go talk to, here's some of the stuff that you'll be dealing with and the groups that we can bring in that relate to that. I find that so much more easier than thinking about like characters in a vacuum, if that makes any sense. Like I will much rather tell you what the religion in space is like and who you answer to in space than think about like what an asteroid miner's day-to-day life is like. I would much rather be like, all right, well, here's the company, and then the players tell, you know. Like,
well, I guess just leave the asteroid mining
Yeah.
to me then.
Considering you wrote a book about that.
Yeah, it's just different types of writing. I'm like our creation, campaign, DMing. There we
Yeah.
go. That's the word I was going for. Eventually found it. Different types of DMing for different people.
I'm not sure what my DMing style is, considering I've only DM'd Toys R You so far.
You haven't DM'd on our show.
What?
You haven't DM'd on our show.
Yeah.
No, I did Toys R You.
Yeah, but that's still like a small one-shot.
Yeah. I'm so scared to DM like an actual story
That's
plot.
literally, especially because I've really only done something off a screen, and I still definitely need to work on that. Like,
Yeah. Also, my DMing styles between the first Toys R You and the second one were so drastically different. Because in the first one, I wanted to let you guys have free reign. I made the world. I tried to kind of do it the way Riley did, where I set up everything and I placed major characters around the area. And I let you guys go wherever you wanted, and the plot would change based off of that. But it would still have the same ending because everything points towards the same ending. But then you guys wanted to go find Santa, who I didn't plan for because Santa's not coming.
I just want to establish you can't open up the story with a no-win scenario and then establish there's a magical god-like savior character
Who I was
and
trying
then not
to hint was
expect
not
us to
coming.
go, yes, of course. What we gotta do is the situation may be bleak, but if only we can go get Santa, a person you've established is very real.
Yeah, but is not here.
Okay, but also consider, Jamie, your style between the first and second episodes did change, but also consider camping with cryptids.
ooh.
versus my first season of
Yeah.
Masks, the Delinquent Heroes.
Delinquent Heroes was. I don't think I'm ever gonna get over that, but mainly because we're such superhero nerds, and it was just.
Yeah.
I want to say, before I talk a little bit more about like the D&D stuff, I will say,
Sorry.
Delinquent Heroes. No, it's totally fine. Delinquent Heroes is going to like remain one of my favorite seasons we've ever done. And I constantly am always quietly hoping that Rowan will be like, all right, now is the time we go in for Delinquent Heroes season 2.
Yes.
We will. We will.
Yeah.
Don't do this.
Just, I line up seasons because you and I switch off, and then I always hope that maybe, Jamie or Reese will do one in between, but if they don't have one ready, I'm like, all right, I got the next one ready.
I've got like 3 generally set, but I haven't known if I'm going next, so I've kind of got them just on the back burner and not finished yet. Because I've got so much other stuff to work on.
No.
Jamie, you're about to D&D. You're about to D&D. You're about to run a Fate D&D campaign with us, so that'll be good practice.
And
That's true.
I will. And I'm going
absolutely.
to, and that's going to be terrifying, but whatever. That's why I'm already.
Yeah, I'll give you all.
Yeah.
It's a little training ground, and then we can take you to the big stage.
But yeah, so I also have another Patrons game that I would like to try in a different system other than Masks, just to kind of add some anthology in there and try out different things.
Me too.
As adults, I also have Ruma, which we put off for a very long time, which I'm also fine with because that needed to be rebooted a little bit.
I'm also planning on doing one in our Delinquent Heroes verse patrons. That one's going to be a bit heavier, but I think part of that was because it's so that's why I'm kind of putting it off more, because it's like this year's been harsh, and I think part of it is like my whole fuck the government thing is why I made it. So that's why I'm putting it off. Not because I'm not excited for it, it's that it's been hard, and this is more me being very kind of cynical and bitter towards the government, but I don't want to throw that onto y'all.
That's exactly the same reason why we paused doing Eden's Grove season 2 and why it hasn't, and what the episodes that we did do hasn't come out yet, because it was in a very dark, existential, like difficult place that before 2020, I felt in a more comfortable, safe space to be like, let's ask these questions, let's play with these themes, and let's come to something. But then during 2020, I'm like, the more I feel the villain is right and should win, the less I feel comfortable with us doing Eden's Grove season 2. So let's put this off for a bit.
For the listeners, us players do want to go back to Eden's Grove, but Riley is a little hesitant, as he just said. But we're trying to figure out a way to bring it back in a way that it kind of reboots it. And if you remember, we did have that time where when we died, we would just come right back. So we're mulling it around. We might do something that has to do with that. And we're hoping to bring Eden's Grove back.
Yes.
I also don't want to throw out the secret Forbidden Vault episodes of Eden's Grove season 2 that we've already recorded, because I did think they were. I do think that they got to an important place. They're my least favorite episodes of Eden's Grove.
That's exactly why I'm saying we could do the in-world reboot of, we get to keep the previous stuff. We'll edit out things that were like, this is not in the right season, the mindset of what we want for the show. We'll take those out if they're not essential to the plot. We get to keep everything that we did that was essential and good, and we have the characters go back. And maybe some of us will remember, some of us won't, but we'll get to continue.
The point is...
The point being, Eden's Grove might come back with episodes that are a year old.
We will have to table set when that
happens. But not soon.
Yeah, like, I would also like to say that's one of the things why, like, my patrons is just very much not a lot of problem of mine. And I've developed a lot more than I originally was hoping for the villain, that I think mine would become a season, and I don't want to put, like, again, when maybe not so heavy, like, I think once, the whole world thingy goes away a little bit, aka gets handled better, then I could really bring it in, because I do want to have this conversation, and I think it'd be good for the listeners, but not when we're all stuck at home.
Yeah, right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But it sounds like Riley's got a very high fantasy to lift our spirits as high as the fantasy can go.
You know, there's something I would have liked to do bypass system, but I don't feel that we've earned it yet. So we have to wait. And so
Also, you have to rework what we're called.
oh, that's
we need to think of a guild name.
that's more specifically for the June Weekly area.
Yeah.
When we first did the bit, I mentioned that the role you would be playing and like in the world, I referred to you guys as Pinkertons, and at that point, from what I knew, Pinkertons was like a kind of controversial, loaded term, but like because they had been used for union breaking and other like not great stuff, but I couldn't think of another term or area that worked for the sort of pseudo police, pseudo criminal, all capitalist like role you were playing in that society. And because from what I had done in terms of research, I like Pinkertons didn't seem like they were really a thing anymore, and so I since a long time ago, so I felt that there was like some distance. Very recently, it's come out about Pinkertons are a thing, union busting at Amazon and other really unfortunate stuff, and so knowing that, I felt less comfortable about having you guys be called something that is so like that is like currently right on the precipice of like everyone's minds as being related to like class warfare pretty much. So I was like, all right, let's think of something else, or maybe we just you're basically mercenaries, who cares. But I don't think that really needs me to reboot the whole bypass system thing. I just need to think of a different term. And that's not really what I meant. I was more saying I want to do.
I am gonna hop off.
Of course, Matthew.
Just want to say that really quick. Yeah, so thank you guys for having me on here. It's been a lovely time. You guys are all very amazing people, and I am very glad I had this opportunity with y'all.
Thank you so much for joining in my season, and see you later.
We had so much fun, and I hope to have you in future seasons.
Yeah, we will let you know when we want to invite you for another one.
Yeah.
We love you, Matthew.
We love you, Matthew.
Right, bye.
Bye.
Are we continuing?
I almost clicked the end call button.
Just for a little bit.
Okay. So
because we're gonna have the D&D session 0 uploaded too, and that goes over.
We need to come up with a guild name.
Yeah,
I think that's definitely one of the things we can talk about is coming up with the guild name. But I also think for since the lunch break, because we do have the episode 0, I think also talking about like.
I just wanted to really quick say that like the reason why we're not doing bypass system yet, and why I make the joke that we haven't earned a bypass system season yet, is I want to do an anthology. I want it to be like a sci-fi anthology series, and so I wanted there to be a series of one-shots set in each of the main factions of the world before we jumped into an actual season to really establish the world and all of the factions in everybody's minds, so everyone knew who the big players were and what made up the world. And since we've only done like 2 one-shots at that point, I was like, okay, we're gonna do a season, and then in between some seasons we're gonna have those one-shots, and then and only then we can do a bypass system like full season and stuff.
Yeah.
And since that wasn't ready, I was like, all right, let's do D&D.
I would love to have my original bypass system character that we did before we'd started MXP. to be in the official season
Same
of
here.
Bypass System.
I think that's what
Yes,
I
please.
think that's what we're hoping for, and I think that's why we haven't earned it yet. Is because I
Yeah.
think we want the characters before, but we need to create that anthology to really before we bring in these characters that we are familiar with, that the listeners aren't
whom we
as
love.
familiar. Whom we love, and are the only one that's competent in that group is Rowan's character.
And I'm the only one who doesn't really mind because I was only in for like two
Yeah.
games before we stopped playing it.
Yeah.
So you guys had a lot more than I did.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, I could reboot
Yeah.
it. It'd be so easy because I barely did anything with my character.
yeah. When we first started MXP, and we were mulling over bringing in Bypass System. Reese and I were like, but we would have to reboot our characters. No, but we love them. They went through so much character development.
I think
But now we're at a point where we're like, I think we can reboot them.
we can reboot them, and I think, and that's one of the things, like, but again, I think that in order to be more fully satisfied with rebooting them, we really
Yeah.
do need that anthology. Because an example is my character from it was a disaster, and he's still going to be a disaster, but a
Both
bit,
of us were
but a
disasters.
bit more put together disaster than he was.
Mine's less of a put together disaster. Mine got more of a disaster.
Yeah.
So
But
Well, at least he has a house now.
yeah.
I still think having an episode of The Quiet Year for Bypass System would be super fun.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely going to do that.
yes, that would be really fun.
Yeah, and sometime I want to
Um,
try us getting together and doing an in-person Bypass System game that involves the Jenga
Yeah.
Tower.
Could be The Quiet Year.
I think that could be
No, the
que-
Jenga
Or
Tower.
that.
Oh no, that one.
It's most likely going to be the Quiet Year because the Quiet Year involves drawing.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
a good one.
since I could go on and on and on about Bypass System because it's a season I'm really excited for and have been thinking about for a long time and have been prepping for a long time. But that all aside, we're gonna do a D&D season next. It's going to be called Pillar Risen, and it's going to take place in a world that has already lost and has been dramatically changed by like a previous group of adventurers who maybe didn't have the world's best interests at heart, and so just ruined the world. And so the setting, which would have originally been very identical to what the standard D&D setting, like the standard in the box D&D setting of the Forgotten Realms would be, it has been completely marred and changed by this massive conflict that has like destroyed or driven away all the gods and completely forced all of the different races and species to change how they operate and form under new banners and stuff like that. So that's going to be the basic idea of
And
it.
a lot of this is covered in episode 0.
Yeah, all of this is going to be covered in episode 0 in more detail. I just thought D&D would be a good season to have because, one, it's high fantasy, so it'll, high adventure, so it'll be, real fun and more upbeat than our normal stuff, but not exactly like a comedy one. And also because we are getting a lot more listeners jumping on, I thought D&D is a good jumping on point for a lot of people because while we are an actual play podcast, most people don't know about the other tabletop games and will tend to not listen to actual play podcasts because they don't know what game people are playing. And if they don't know the system, they're less inclined to jump in. And since we're getting more eyes on us and everything, I thought a D&D campaign, which, people are more familiar with, people that know tabletop games know D&D. It's the big standard of the genre. I figured it would be a good way to bring in a bunch of listeners so they could kind of see what we're about now that we've had a couple seasons under our belt. And yeah,
We have a better idea of what we're doing compared to when we first started this. But
I still cringe at the thought of camping with cryptids.
I love
and I'm
camping
so
with
glad
cryptids.
it's not on. I'm so glad it's not on our Buzzsprout account.
I was gonna say it was a good starting point, but compared to like say Delinquent Heroes, yeah.
Yeah, it did have the worst audio quality and It was when we were first starting, so we weren't exactly sure what we were doing.
Plot was crap.
But the characters were so good.
The characters were good.
I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't even have a plot. I was making it up like episode to episode, and it was so bad.
I
But
miss
the characters were great. I agree.
Sage.
I don't.
The characters were great.
You don't, but I think that's because we didn't get your nemesis.
Jones was bad.
We didn't get your nemesis.
Riley made the chosen one, and then he regretted it.
Yeah.
Because the character I built was built for a different campaign than the one Rowan ran.
Yes.
We should have communicated on that a little bit more.
And that was something I realized. That's why I'm like, I want to make a new one, but scrap my story, keep the characters.
Yeah, we've also noticed that, like, this is kind of going back to how each of us DM, but don't make a character that has a family member or something that Reese or Rowan would also have to DM.
Which is such a shame, because those are the playbooks I'm always the most interested in. That's like,
and
all
I'm
right,
so sorry.
here's your character, and now come up with a bunch of NPCs to give to the DM so that they can hurt you emotionally with them. Like, those are always the ones that I'm like, oh, hell yeah.
I think that's why I did Tiago for third stringers for Riley, because, like, Nari was just like, oh, I can just give her cute roommate that's really easy to play, versus Tiago's just like, I have a lot of family and religious trauma.
Yeah. I'd love to bring the title of Camping with Cryptids back, but I want to do it in a way where it's not too close to Eden's Grove, but it still satisfies a little bit of that more action-based instead of story-based, because, I want to keep some of the concepts.
I don't need it to be entirely action-based, it just... The problem with Jones...
No, but I do. I want to make it pretty Monster Hunter-y, but just not in an Eden's Grove way.
Yeah.
I think, Riley, what you really do need for, I would say, if you were going to continue with Jones, is you could keep the...
I don't think we're going to continue with our characters.
Yeah, but
No, we're not going to.
I love Angeline,
The problem with Jones was that I built him thinking the campaign would have more combat in it, and I built him thinking about combat roles and stuff like that. So like, I built Jones to be kind of...
And that was back when we were trying to balance our parties.
we don't do that.
I mean, I still suggest that we balance parties, and that's still a thing I consider and care about. But like, when I built Jones, I built him to be like the damage dealer protector unit, and then a little bit along the way, Rowan was like, I've decided now that we're not going to be really killing the cryptids. It's going to be more about helping the cryptids and everything, and more narrative and stuff. And that literally made everything Jones had completely useless. His entire sheet was built for a thing that we would no longer be doing in the campaign. And personality-wise, he was built like... I could not find a good justification for him to continue to keep endangering his family or agree with the stuff Angeline was doing, and it was getting really frustrating for me to play someone that could not use their sheet and could not use their character. Like, Jones was literally a lame duck in every single sense of the word.
I think
it wasn't fun.
Riley, if you were to play a chosen one character, like if Camping is Cryptids, I think it should be, if we were going to do something...
The playbook wasn't the problem. I would just make him like Healy and more like sway based.
Yeah, just reboot the characters as well.
No, what I'm saying with that is, I think if you really really do want to do that with Camping Cryptids, I think a good one would be hold on, let me say the word. Would be the fact that...
I'm just going to bury Jones. I'm not going to play Jones again.
No, I wasn't thinking of that, but I'm saying what came to mind, like, an example would be, like, making an example would be making a chosen one that's like, I don't want to do this, and trying their damnedest to get away from it. Actively trying, but then anytime something comes up, they're like, God damn it, because they're the only ones really, like...
That was the original pitch for Jones, and also it kind of was the pitch for Duck Newton from the Adventure Zone. So, yeah, not doing that in any sense of the word.
I mean, that's just one that, like, I personally like, that's becoming more popular, is the reluctant hero, just because I think I really like that. damn it, I have to save the world, and I'm not happy about it, but no one else is gonna do it, so... And I think I would say... I think that if I were to really do my first one that wasn't super heavy, I would definitely do something with Ruma, because I have a lot of knowledge about all that jazz, because I've taken a lot of classics classes. And also...
Yeah, part of me while I was doing Ruma was I realized this might not be the best game for me to run, because you guys would run it so much better, but I still love the plot that I made for it.
I mean, that's a thing. You can do that, because an example is, we can continue that. My example is, like, I literally know Rome, like, so much more now, especially since I've taken a medicine one that involves so much Rome. So if I did my own Ruma one, you guys, I would, like, nitpick you. I would nitpick all of you and be like, what do you want with this character? If you want this, all right, tell me how, and tell me how you're gonna, like, involve it with fucking Rome, because I know way too much about Rome.
Can we get Pillar Arisen again on the topic?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I would appreciate that.
Because I know we cover a lot of stuff in episode 0, but Riley, you requested that we make a guild name.
Which we still haven't done.
I wanted us to discuss it because we didn't discuss it in episode 0.
Oh yeah, for the audience, we recorded the D&D season episode 0 before this lunch break, but it's going to be put out after, just because of how recording schedules for Matthew and everything ended up being. And so one of the main characters is going to be running a small adventuring party guild, like a small startup business. And I have been pushing for a while to have a team name, be invented for the parties in our seasons. And I'm going to make sure that gets kicked off with this Pillar Arisen. And all from here on out, all the parties are going to have team names. That's canon. I'm putting that into the air. Audience, if this isn't canon, feel free to yell at us. All parties from here on out will have team names that you can refer to them as. And we're starting with Pillar Arisen.
Question.
And the first party name is going to be good. And we're going to come up with it right now.
I have an idea.
Okay, real quick. The thing about it being good. Question for the players, do we want this name to be something that our characters made up for themselves? A. B. A meta name. Or C. A name that other NPCs made up for them.
Ooh.
I don't want it to be meta in this case.
Okay.
Yeah, Rowan, go.
Okay, so I have had this idea of calling our guild the Braid.
Oh?
And this is both my thought process as well as possibly Jerusalem's thought process. Multiple things. A braid has to be made up of 3 or more strands.
Mm-hmm.
There are 3 of us, we can add more members.
Ooh.
A braid does not look good if the strands do not perfectly weave with each other. In order to function well as a braid, they need to be working with each other. And while that seems counterintuitive to what Jerusalem's god complex is, Jerusalem's family is aligned with the
true.
lovers, which is all about kind of that connection that you have. And in Jerusalem's sense, he's interpreting that as we need to be a team, even though I am the leader and I'm better, we are a team.
I do like that a lot.
As well as Jerusalem is an elf. He wears braids.
I would like to say Lois also wears a braid because he has really long hair, for starters.
All right. One, I'm gonna interject. I'm going to say, one, I love the team name and I love the reasoning behind it. It's perfect. It's canon now. 2, y'all are saying a lot of character and NPC names that no one has any context for at this point.
I know.
So let's try and avoid that so much. Also, the cat is attacking the Christmas tree. I'm going to be right back.
I would like to say for the audience, my character,
You guys can hold on for just a moment. You'll understand. Go listen to episode 0 and come back and listen to us explaining why we chose this team name. How about that?
We're back with a kitty.
I was just imagining your characters insisting on braiding my character's tail because she's a horse.
Yeah, no, like, one of the things I was gonna say that's not is that my character, the fact that you're, like, saying that for your character of the me, myself, and I, and 2 others, but also, like, in regard to that, is also something, like, while D&D is definitely gonna have us fight stuff, because Riley has been saying to us that, one of our characters is very much is probably gonna die at some point due to, health.
That's not even about combat. That's just about a character having literally no hit points.
But I'm saying, also the fact that our characters are just I really like it because of how we've set up our characters. Really kind of does show that yes, we need to work together, but at the same time, it's like the Mexican standoff, I think is the proper term, where they're all just pointing at each other, waiting.
Yes. If you thought Delinquent Heroes was a dysfunctional team when they first met, you'll be excited to see this team.
You guys, Phoenix is our most functional team, and I say that
It didn't start that way.
But no. I say this in regards also because Eden's Grove, because of what happened in season 1, it just like it's really they're having a tough time. They
fall in and out of being functional.
Meanwhile, Phoenix just needed to like get a little needed to rev its engine.
We were functional in the finale.
Yeah, Phoenix needed to rev its engine, but then came out really smooth. This one, Third Stringers was just a disaster, but I think that's the whole point.
That was still fun.
It was wonderful, but it was just a big disaster because that was the whole point. But this one is the fact that we're being called the Braid when we are literally... It's a beautiful irony that I'm so excited for to, like, the audience to really kind of delve more into, especially considering all the dynamics between the characters.
I agree.
I think the Braid will be a good.
Mm-hmm. So that's definitely what I would say is just in general.
Well, I'm glad you guys liked the name I came up with, and that was the only option we considered for this entire discussion.
No, boom, done, we're in
I mean,
it.
also, like, I can't really think of anything else. You give, like, a solid reasoning, and I'm just like, nah, man, mine would try to make y'all the backups, like, because of mine.
See, it's mostly because, like, what Riley said, my character's the one that's making the guild. This is, like, back with Third Stringers, where it's like, yes, my character's the strategian. That's why I am the one who made up the plan.
I know.
Even though it was supposed to be a group effort, it was just like, yes.
I mean, that's kind of...
Tis me.
I mean...
Stop being good at it, then.
Yeah, like, okay.
Listen, I'm just good at puns, and y'all just let me name our team after a pun, so...
Hell yeah.
The one time we came up with a good name is for Bypass System before we even started this. And that's it. That's it. That's the one time
that's
Jamie
fair.
and I have come up with a solid name.
Man, that scene of you guys coming up with Phoenix.
That was so good.
That was such a good bit.
That was so good.
I remember it fondly to this day.
It was so great.
It was just so, like... How did teenagers act? This is how they act. This is exactly how they act.
Yep.
This is the thought process of teenagers.
Anyway.
Such a choice, Goof.
I know, and it's just...
I don't know if we're ever gonna top that one. That one was just so solid.
I mean, Braid might with the whole dynamic.
Braid is so solid.
It's really good.
Yeah, no, it's good. Again, Rowan, why do you think we had that bit with Phoenix? Is because you're the planner person.
I'm the one who comes up with good names, because I just make puns, and y'all are like, that's cool. It's the only time you think my puns are good. Is when we're naming something.
Because most of the time, they're purposely bad, and you know it.
Naming the main villain company after sheep when the villain's name is Miss Shepherd.
I know,
You're bad.
garbage.
Just make sure that I just want you to know that you're bad.
I want to go out the way Finley went out, saying puns.
Well, keep up that 17 hit points and your rogue just might.
Hey Mark Experience listeners, it's end credits time. I know you love hearing this part, but I like to remind you guys that you can find us on Tumblr, Instagram, and even TikTok. And if you like to buy the music, you can buy it all at markexperience.bandcamp.com. We also have a constantly growing collection of merch at redbubble.com/people/mark-experience, where you can buy posters and shirts and stickers and all that. If you want to support your favorite editor and musician, you can head over to my Ko-fi account at ko-fi.com/Jamie Remy. That's spelled JAMIEREMY. Mark Experience can be located basically anywhere podcasts exist now, so you can listen wherever's easiest. See you next episode!
I'm so sorry. I missed all of that. I was trying to get you guys to stop talking. Our cat wandered over to the sleeping dog and was fucking around and was about to find out. Sorry. Jamie, edit that out. Edit that out.
No, that was wonderful.
I don't want swears. I don't want my swears on this
Why?
podcast.
Why?
No one can know that.
And I don't want this whole segment. The point is, I was trying to get you guys to stop talking because my attention was fully gone because Wink had crawled up onto the dog bed and was like placing her face on the dog's face while the dog was like waking up. And I was so like ready for Yolo to bark at her. But Yolo growled and Wink wandered off, and I think we're good.